I'm Dr. Anthony Collada. I'm a board certified psychiatrist. This video, I'm going to change your perspective on what it means to feel humiliated. Nobody wants to feel humiliated. It's just natural. It's very unpleasant. It can happen maybe being ridiculed by others in public, maybe being belittled. It can happen at school, at work, in one's relationships or socialization settings. Feeling humiliated is associated with mental health symptoms such as anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, suicidal thoughts, and low self-esteem. Some emotions are gonna be a little bit more basic, like anger, fear, sadness, enjoyment. But then humiliation is a little bit more complex. It actually involves a more thinking process that causes this feeling of humiliation. And so, as unpleasant as it seems, you can just change that thinking process to change the emotion. Now, before I go into how to change that thinking process, let me talk to you about some of the statistics of what it can be where people are feeling humiliated. So again, it can happen in a variety of settings: school, work, sports, relationships. Even in medical training, there's been an association between as low as 6% to as much as 37% of people feeling humiliated during their medical training. And when it comes to the workplace, it could be anywhere between 6 to almost 80% of people feeling humiliated. Now, researchers have found that this feeling of humiliation can definitely lead to some mental health consequences, such as feeling burnout, feeling emotional distress, anxiety, depression. Even there's more likely to be some substance use, whether it's prescription medications, whether it's illegal drugs, maybe alcohol. But really, it's likely that's just the negative ways of coping with this feeling of humiliation. Because again, humiliation is how you're perceiving the event or how you're talking to yourself about the emotion or about the event that occurred. Now, I'm going to tell you a technique that I found not through really medical research or scientific research, but through reading this book from St. John. It's called The Latter Divine Ascent. So in this book, he's basically describing to monks that living in like monasteries or monastic life, how to grow in their relationship with God and how to grow in their spiritual life. And he basically says that humiliation can be a good thing. He basically says for the monks to thirst for that, to kind of want that or crave that. I mean, they don't necessarily go out and do things that are very stupid or idiotic that deserve humiliation, but he does say some things like a thirst for dishonor, crave for involuntary affliction, don't condemn other people who are sinning or doing evil, have compassion even beyond one's own strength. Those people who get these things, it can actually be a blessing. And it's really counterintuitive because naturally we want to be we're human. We want to be praised in front of others. We want to be recommended or glorified. But what I think he's saying here is that those being praised in front of others or having good and done in front of others, you don't want to fall into pride, because pride can lead to more worsening things down the road. If just like in the Christian faith, pride led Lucifer to fall out of heaven and be condemned to the world. Also, we see the amount of humiliation that certain people in their life have gone through, and after they got through that process, they really did some amazing things. For example, Christ, when he was crucified, was a very humiliating time. He was crucified amongst people that were sinners or who were murderers, but he himself did not really have any reason to be crucified, right? And also he was humiliated by his disciples that betrayed him and the disciples that denied him at that time. He was really mocked and humiliated, and he was guiltless of what he was being condemned for, humiliated for. So if someone is going through this humiliation process, they may not have any valid reason for it. There may not be any good fortune for it, but if you deal with it in the right way, if you deal with it by doing good, keeping a close relationship with God, praying for those who maybe are the perpetrators in the humiliation process, forgiving them, maybe God can exalt you just like Christ is exalted nowadays through this belief in Christianity that he continues to live with us and guide us to this day. So it's just an interesting part, because I think from a mental health perspective, people who feel ashamed or humiliated can really dwell in that negativity, and it's going to affect their thoughts, it's going to affect their emotions, it's going to affect their actions. They may isolate, they may fall in depression, they may have suicidal thoughts, even it might lead them to commit suicide. But if you can see it as a blessing or something that maybe can help you grow closer to God, or something where you are an innocent in this and it's just the society around you that may be causing it, but just remind yourself, such as God's promises, that He who touches you touches the apple of his eye. Or perhaps remind yourself that the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So basically, God watches over us, He provides for us, He knows all what's going on, He knows what is right and wrong, and He will protect people who are in difficult circumstances or going through frustrating times. It may not happen right away, but I'm sure it'll happen at the right time.